Doctor Who Christmas special for 2011, The Doctor, the Widow and the Wardrobe. Couple of quick things to say on this before getting started in the plot. First of all, I really don't like Christmas specials for Doctor Who, or I didn't, is probably the better way to say it. When it was the David Tennant Christmas specials, they really bugged me, because to me they weren't framed right. It was very much about an adventure at Christmas time, which kind of bugged me, because it almost became a running joke in itself. That I think it was the Starship Titanic episode of the Christmas special with Kylie, where they actually make the joke, look, where is everybody? Oh, they've all locked themselves away because they've blown up Christmas 3 times in a row, so everyone's terrified. So I didn't like that. That's not what it should be. It shouldn't be an adventure at Christmas time. It should be an adventure about Christmas time. And with Matt Smith and Stephen Moffat being in charge, they've started pulling it off. I liked last year's, which was A Christmas Carol, and was their homage to A Christmas Carol, using the TARDIS to go and do past, future, and past, present, and future. And it was good, but wasn't perfect. There was a few things iffy. This time, I think they've got it really smooth, because they did a few very different things. The plot itself is about the Doctor almost trying to help a family at Christmas time. But basic story: at the start, the Doctor meets a woman who helps him back to the TARDIS because he's been in an adventure in space. And has ended up crash landing on Earth with only in a spacesuit to keep himself alive, but because he's dressed in a hurry, it's on backwards. And so he says, "Thank you. If you ever need a hand, just wish." It was a nice little start. It was funny, and it also builds up to the fact that she's got the Doctor's indebted to her. And she doesn't know it. She doesn't know who he is or what he is. It was just some weird incident that she just dealt with. It also works very nicely on the basis that it shows that the woman is accepting of the weird. That she doesn't go, "Oh my God, what's going on? This is peculiar. I'm phoning the police." She just goes, "Okay," and rolls with it, which is exactly what happens. Which it comes important later on. Then the story started kicking off proper, that basically the husband of the family has died in World War II. I think it's 2. Okay, it will be World War II because he's in a plane. So yeah, he's in a bomber, and basically there's no lights, there's no lights, there's no moon, there's no stars. They can't navigate, and they missing in action. Missing, presumed dead. So she's feeling really bad about this, and she can't bring herself to telling the children. It's Christmas, and they're going away to the country. They've evacuated to their uncle's old manor house, by the sounds of it. And when they get there, they meet the caretaker, which is the Doctor with a new name. I quite like the idea of having one-off stories with the Doctor not being the Doctor and calling himself something else. "Oh, I'm the caretaker. Oh, I'm the janitor. Or, I'm the maintenance man." I think that is a nice idea, that he can almost just drop into titles rather than roles. That's quite cool. And they go on a tour of the house, and he's improved it. So this is a real whimsy scene, and was great fun, because we know that the Doctor finds things boring. He's done this as the John Pertwee era. "I have a car," or let's get the most unique, silly looking car we can, and then make it remote controlled and voice activated and all sorts of silly things. So it only makes sense for him to do it to the house, and it also shows him being very alien and childlike with things like, "Oh, can I take your bags?" Because he knows that this is what you say to people, and then going, "Brilliant, can you carry them? I've got to show you things." Which is just shows him to be very, not quite understanding of the culture. And he's done improvements on the house. It's things like a lemonade tap in the kitchen and the living room where all the chairs move about because they haven't got anything interesting like a telly. So that's really quite fun. And the kids' room with there's a jungle and there's a maze and we have hammocks and just sheer whimsy for the sake of whimsy, and that was great. I liked that. I liked the fun of it. So all of that was built up really, really well, and the big thing was that under the tree was this great big box with no name from who it was for the entire family. And in the middle of the night, one of the kids goes down and opens the box, and it's a dimensional portal to Narnia, hence the name of the thing. It's basically it's a winter planet which create with naturally forming Christmas trees, and it was supposed to be his present to take them on to a winter wonderland to try and ease the pain of the father dying, which is a really nice idea and really quite fun and whimsical. But the kids jumped in too early. So, without accompaniment, without knowing what he's in for, a wrong time, he's supposed to be, they were going to go together at the time which is allotted safe, and he's jumped in too early and wandered off. So the doctor and the daughter go looking for him, and then the mother obviously joins in as well and jumps in and goes looking for him on their own. The Winter Wonderland's very nice, but they don't spend enough time in it. They sort of go, "Look, we've got this Winter Wonderland, isn't it lovely? Okay, moving on with the plot." Which is a bit of a pity, but they had a lot to do, so it's understandable. And then we get the big thing that basically a trap has been laid. It's not an evil trap, though. Basically, a building has been created, but it's completely out of wood. The trees have mimicked a building, and they're looking for someone who they can put all the souls of the forest into to take them away, because basically the area is due for deforestation by an intergalactic lumberjack corporation. And they're the villains. But they're not really villains. The mother comes across some of the employees of this company, and it's Bill Bailey. Big thumbs up from me. They have Bill Bailey in this being quite silly, actually. A big fan of Bill Bailey, big fan of his comedy, big fan of his acting roles. Bill Bailey's brilliant, and he's in this. And they play this wonderful lot because they turn up and they're all in like power armor looking gear, and then they pull off their helmets and it's Bill Bailey, some twit and some wifey, and they end up bickering like school children. And it's brilliant because you can sort of tell that they're not evil, they're not trying to destroy the forest to be evil, Fern Gully style. They're just doing their job. And there's nothing wrong with it. At no point do they say that killing the forest is evil and make some big Greenpeace movement. It's just some guys trying to do their job and, make battery fuel, basically. Because what they're going to do is cover the area in acid rain and melt the trees down to slag, which they can then use. That's a nice wee idea. I like that. I like the idea as well that basically the mother ends up overpowering them, holding them all hostage and taking over their sort of industrial war walker vehicle thing. And the idea behind it is that she turns around and it's just, she points the gun at them, and then he's just like, "I don't think you have any reason to use that gun. I don't think you're a hostile force." And she turns around and she goes, "I'm here looking for my children." And they're just like, "Oh, right, yeah, we're in trouble." Which is really nice. They've figured out the whole, because the big thing about this story is sort of the motherly safety, you know, and mothers looking after their children. She didn't want to tell, she hasn't told them about the father dying because she hasn't want to harm them, and she's gone looking for them and is willing to go to any length to find them because she's trying to protect them. Back in the wooden hut, we have the wooden house, we have the doctor, a child, and the doctor, the son and the daughter. And basically, this trap has been laid, as I say, for them to try and get all the souls into a vessel, into another person, which they can then carry out. So they can carry out all the souls. And the doctor's not strong enough to do it, and none of them are strong enough to do it. In the end, the mother turns up, and she's powerful because she's got the mothering instinct. She's got this protective instinct that she can take all of these souls. And then the building turns into a spaceship and flies off into the time vortex, distributing the souls. And whilst they're doing that, because they're flying it back to Earth, back to Christmas Day, whilst they're doing that and thinking about it, they end up saving the husband, because the light of the ship is what he uses to get home by, and ends up landing in a very conveniently placed field outside this manor house. I did think it was quite funny when they realise that the airship's there, and they go out and it's their father, and he says, "I saw a light and I followed it." And the only thing I could think of was, that was some good talk. But we'll let that fly. And to enjoy it, that's an overrun of it. Things I really like about it, as I say, I like the idea that it was quite a whimsical story this year. There was no villain, and I know the review on Doctor Who Online said that was a bit of disappointment, that we knew there was sort of these tree people, and that they looked quite intimidating, and they did look intimidating, but they're not villains. They're not villains. As I say, the nearest thing we get to villains are these three, is Bill Bailey and his crew of bumbling idiots. And even they, you know, you very quickly realise that they're not villains. They're just some poor guys doing their job. And the fact that there's no villains, I actually really like. You don't need a bad guy in every story, because sometimes situations just happen. Just being, you know, if you're jumping around the universe, sometimes you're just going to end up in the wrong place at the wrong time. And that's very much what this is about. He's not, you know, and I really liked that, the idea that there's no villain and it's just all circumstance, so that it's a happy ending all the way around. Nice little story. I like the fact that it's a Christmas story about Christmas. It's got a nice moral to it about the mother of protection, about being home for Christmas is a big thing in it as well with the father. The father's always home for Christmas, and that he can't make it. That's really quite nice. I really like that moral. So overall, this one, whilst not the most scary or overly exciting episode of Doctor Who, it was certainly my favourite Christmas episode so far, because I think they've really started capturing the idea of how to do a Christmas special, what is the big thing. And it was that it's not supposed to be dark and scary and evil and jumping about. It should be fun, it should be whimsical, it should feel Christmassy, which this one really does. So I think that's everything I've got to say on it, really. I hope you enjoyed watching. I hope you've all had a good Christmas, and I hope you'll all have a very happy New Year. I'll be back with the new season, which I don't know much about. Talking about Christmas and things, yes, I do remember something. Going back to the episode, the Doctor goes back to Amy and Rory and goes, I'm alive, honest. And they go, yes, we know. And I still run on the same idea that I've had enough of Amy and Rory. They've kind of had their story. Can they bugger off now? But I know from what they've said, they're leaving this season. this season coming, they are going to leave and they're going to do something big and dramatic. And quite frankly, I hope they die in horrible, horrible ways, because that would just be cool. Actually, they should kill the characters off, because I don't think anyone really wants to see them die. I think giving them a happy ending is what everyone would like to see. It would be nice to see them having a happy ending. So that's exactly what they shouldn't do. They should murder them off in hideous, hideous ways, because that'll leave a really big mark on the characters and keep them in people's mindset. You know, much like Rose, who you know, locked away in a different time stream. Great. We should do that. Kill Amy. Pardon me. So, yeah, that's it. I hope you had a good Christmas. Have a very happy New Year. I'll be back with more Doctor Who reviews when the next series starts. Have a great time. I'll see you later.